Okay, Zach. Zach, tell me where are you from, Zach?
I'm from Connecticut, Rhode Island, and I'm now living in Pikeville, Kentucky.
Pikeville, Kentucky. What do you think of it here?
It's a nice area, you can travel, and there's different things here that you won't see, and like city-wise,
A lot of beauty.
a lot of beauty. During the fall, if you go through these hollers, these trees bloom really good, and
Natural beauty.
natural beauty, exactly. There's nature.
Drug activities
Drug
quite a
act-
thing in Appalachia.
Yes, especially within some of these old hollers where a lot of people hasn't like workers go in there and touch up areas. A lot of those areas is where you find mainly your meth heads and the people that mainly do drugs.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's a high percentage of drug use
High
in
percentage.
these areas. So
Yes.
in this part of the country, there's a lot of drug use.
You don't see much in the city part, but towards hollers is the main part
Right.
where you can find the
Right,
drug.
right. You get out in the woods, and that's where the problems are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of Appalachia, their perception is what they learn on the news, and all we hear about is the rampant meth abuse, methamphetamines, the rampant prescription pain pill and heroin and fentanyl, and so there's been a lot of focus put on this region of Appalachia as far as a lot of
Because of
A
our
view-
mountains. Our mountains, and a lot of people has told me, our mountains, the area that we live in this Appalachia, is honestly one of the best places to grow or farm or, do all this farm this drug, and
Sure.
you know what I mean? And that's what I've heard from a lot of people,
Sure.
because the mountains are really good. There's a lot of places, like if you go in certain hollers, you'll find weird buildings, and they could be cooking meth in there.
right. There's so many places because the woods are so dense and whatnot. There's so many places to hide, and it's so thick and so lush, and like you say, it's sort of like the beauty is the gift and the curse, right? Because like you said, it's that terrain and the weather and the soil and everything that's involved that makes it a great place to cultivate the very thing that negates its own beauty.
Exactly.
It's pretty intense. It's a pretty wild thought. So who do you live with? Do you live by yourself, or you
No,
live
I live with my manager at the place that I work at.
with? Uh huh.
I live with his woman too, and they have two little dogs, and it's just me. Uh, Now their daughter's living with them until she gets housing, and she has a little 3-year-old little girl with her.
How old is she?
She's about 3 years old.
No, how old is the daughter though?
Oh, she's 23.
23. How do you do with her? You get along with her?
Yeah, I honestly, me and her, we'll chat, we'll talk about things.
Nice.
We see each other as brother and sister.
Oh, very nice. And how old did you tell me again? How old you are?
I'm 27.
27 years old. 27 years old. So living with your manager, you said, from work. Overall, how are your living accommodations? Pretty good, or could be better, or
Well, the thing that we struggle with right now is that they live in a place where they technically only have one bedroom.
uh-oh.
They got the living room, and then they got the laundry room. That's where I sleep for now.
You sleep in the laundry room.
Yeah, which
What about the daughter you mentioned?
she sleeps in the living room,
in the living room.
and then they have their own room.
They sleep in the bedroom.
Yes.
Whatever works, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we try to do what we can do to help each other to survive. Because honestly, if you live here by yourself, it's rough. You're gonna have to. You'd be lucky to have $5 left after you paying all your bills, and you might not have any food in the fridge or the freezer, and you're gonna have to figure out ways.
Minimum wage is very low here.
Very low. And
What is minimum wage?
some places are like, I think it's $7.95 minimum wages.
$7.95 an hour. 2022, $7.95 an hour. Imagine that. Wow. So yeah, it can be real tough to.
It can be real tough. I mean,
Because from what I understand, the cost of living here is relatively low. But even with relatively low cost of living, where are you going with $7.95 an hour?
Exactly.
Right?
And especially if you don't have a vehicle, and if you live in a holler, it's cheaper. because they don't charge you about 450 for to rent a place. But if you go here in town, you're gonna be looking at about 750 to almost a grand, if not more.
Do you have a vehicle?
I do have a vehicle.
You do. So you're able to drive back and forth to work every day?
It's not tagged and insured. I just got it in my name like 3 days ago. Yeah. Well, Thursday on the
Is there
16th.
mechanical problems with the vehicle, or is it ready to go on the road? Or
It's having a couple problems that I'm just having to fix. I don't know exactly what price it's gonna be, but I know it's like I can't just afford it out of one check.
right?
Like it'll take me a couple checks just to get that car lined out.
Wow. And that's just based purely on low wages that
Yeah.
just kind of come with. Unfortunately, I suppose living in Kentucky where the minimum wage is $7.95 an hour, it's tough, for sure. So, how do you get to work every day?
They normally either take me to work or someone at work will either come and pick us up.
So you do wind up walking to work every now and again?
Yes, sometimes I do walk to work, which is not often, but sometimes I don't mind to work or walk.
How long does it take you to walk to work?
About 25 to about 30 minutes.
So that's a long walk, 25, 30 minutes. It's a long walk. That's a long walk, especially in the heat or in the cold, in the snow, in the rain. That's a long walk. But it's got to be better than walking from the holler,
Yeah,
right? If you were to live in a holler.
yeah. And
Right.
it's also better because if you live in a holler and it takes you several hours to walk to work, you might not have energy and you might want to have to call off. And
Right.
that's what affects because
Right.
every day you call off is a big chunk of your check missing.
Right on. Especially with that really low wage,
Yeah.
the thought of missing a day is the difference between you making your bills and not making your bills.
Exactly.
Now, I noticed that you walk with a little bit of a limp, right?
Yeah, well, it depends on how bad it's hurting me. But right now, where I got like meds and I take steroids for them, it kind of slows down the inflammation in the foot, which is
Right.
not. It,
Tell me what I'm sorry, I don't know. Is your foot problem diagnosed?
yes.
Is it a foot problem? Is it a leg problem?
It's a foot. I have plantar fasciitis, if I said that correctly. What basically what it is built up inflammation that's in under the foot, or like on the bones or something like that. And
Very painful.
And that's what's causing me to have my pains in my heels because it's on the heels of my feet. And that's what
it's very
really
painful.
yes. Sometimes it is extremely painful where I have to lean on walls or just lean on stuff just to be able to walk.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've had this feet problem for about 8 months, I'd say 8 months, and
Wow.
I've never called off a day in work.
Wow, good for you. Yeah, it's great. So you're like a model employee.
Yeah.
Never called off.
Yeah, that's why.
Even with the foot issue. You now prior to these 8 months, you never had any problems with your feet whatsoever?
I've been having problems for these prior 8 months. Like
Before those 8 months though, there
I've
was
never
nothing.
had problems with my feet.
Everything was perfectly normal.
Everything was perfectly normal.
Wow. Wow. I wish you the best of luck with that. I wish you the best of the. Now, how long did it take you to get that diagnosis? I mean, have you been going back and forth to the doctor now for a while,
Well, I
or was this your first time looking into it?
No, when I went to foot doctor, or actually I started going to a hospital, it's not a main hospital, but it's like a small clinic. You can go in here, they check you out real quick, and they gave me steroid shots, and they would give me medicine for steroids to help with inflammation. But those, only last a week. After that, you have to go back and get your prescriptions refilled for if it doesn't help your feet.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with your feet, man. I'll absolutely keep you in my prayers. Now, let me ask you this: how was your childhood?
Well, my childhood, this is probably a little bit of a long story, but
Did you grow up with both your parents?
I did grow up with both of them, but when we was born, our parents were split. My mom was split from my dad, but my dad kept my brother for a couple of years. My mom kept me. for a couple years. When she ended up going to college, she couldn't watch us, so we both ended up living with our dad. She'd come around every weekend or something, take us to go movie theaters or go to Six Flags or something like that. My childhood mainly kind of, I don't know how to say the particular word, but my life consists on moving. Both my parents wasn't together.
We were not.
My dad was a bad alcoholic,
Mm-hmm.
and he ended up doing stuff, he regrets doing in life when he did have us. My mom, she was focusing more on her work, going to college to be where she's at right now, and she's currently a CNA.
And your mother is here in Kentucky? Or?
No, she's in Rhode Island. She's in
in Rhode Island.
Connecticut, Rhode Island. That's where she lives. My brother, he lives in Fall River, Massachusetts, and my dad currently lives here in Elkhorn City, Kentucky.
So the reason that you are here is because of
my
your father.
Yes.
Because of your father. And how did your father wind? I mean, what's the correlation? Is your father from Rhode Island as well?
Yes.
Originally?
He's originally from Rhode Island. He ended up meeting a woman here online on a game. They ended up talking.
Like a video game?
Yes, a video game. They end up talking. He ends up coming down here first without us. He meets her, and then he talks about moving down here. And then he finds a place to live here, which was really bad. The walls had mold all over them. The floors were caving in, and we was constantly sick because it was hard to breathe in that place because of all the mildew on the walls and stuff. And we ended up getting housing. He eventually gets housing for the both of us.
What is this, through the state?
Yes, it's through the state.
Does he work, your dad?
No, he's disabled. He has diabetes really bad. Right now he's going through COVID right now. He's been positive for.
Is he still drinking?
He doesn't drink as he does before. If he does drink, he grabs like one little kind of case of wine coolers. Take him about a month to drink 4 or 5 or 4 to 6 bottles.
So it's nothing like the problem it once was.
No, it was not like the problem there once was.
How about drugs? Any drugs? Any drug use?
My dad don't do drugs. He
Never has.
He might have had before in his life.
But not currently.
But not currently. Right now he's dealing with really bad diabetes, which is affecting his feet. Where if something slices his foot, where at the point where he can't even feel it.
Yeah. It's a tough thing to go through.
Yeah, and where he's going through COVID now, he's kind of giving up on himself.
How old is your dad?
My dad's, I think, about 51 to 52 years old.
Oh, he's a young guy still.
Yeah, and he's giving up on himself.
Should have a lot of life left in him.
Yep.
Wow.
But he works his ass off, He goes out, he does all the yard work. He lifts all this stuff. He builds stuff. He goes out in the shed and he'll start cutting wood and building something for inside the house, or and he just likes to work. But it's really rough on him because he's the only person there doing anything. When
he's still with the young lady that he came here to be with, correct?
Yes, he's still with her.
So I think it was, for him anyways, it was worth it, right? If he's been down here 6-7 years, he obviously found somebody. He
likes it, but in my honest opinion, that woman causes my dad's too much stress.
Yeah.
He's out here. She don't clean up after herself. He's doing it, and she has 2 kids.
Does she work?
She don't work. I don't think she's basically worked much in her life. Her dad is the one that owns the place that they live in, so they don't pay. They get helped out quite a bit. My dad pays all the, where he gets the disability check, and my dad pays all the bills and stuff like that. Now, with her, my dad has changed.
Now, is there any alcohol or drug abuse issues with his
No,
wife?
No,
No,
not at all.
she just
She has really bipolar, and that's what I think is affecting my dad, because he gets stressed, and there's stuff that I've seen my dad do that I've never seen him do before. And I'm gonna say this, but when I was living with him and his woman that he's currently married to right now, she has 2 little boys. One's 18 now and one's 19. Well, she would blame everything. If the boys do something bad at the house, I get blamed for it. I get physically abused because she's telling my dad that I'm doing this, or making fun of the way I dress, or anything in particular. And my dad has abused me for the time of me living with them, the time that I left. See, I left my dad's house at the age of 17 years old, still in high school, and the only thing that helps me is that
physical abuse. We're talking
physical abuse, yes. That helped me was I got put in a foster home. I went to the school and I told them everything that was going on. They put me in a foster home until I was able to graduate high school, because I couldn't live on my dad's roof where I was constantly being abused.
And then once you turn 18 years old, you're on your own.
Yeah, I was on my own. I've been on my own ever since. I did go back, live with Mom for about 2 years back in Fall River, Massachusetts.
And that entire time, since you've been on your own, you've been here in Pikeville.
For about the remainder of 5 years.
So for the majority of it.
Yes, for the majority of the time I've been here in Pikeville, Kentucky.
And you managed to get through with no drug issues or alcohol issues.
Exactly. One thing I learned down here is if you give up on yourself, you're not gonna make it. If something goes down the drain, like for instance, if you have a place to live, and when COVID hit, I got to a point where I was living in my car with barely nothing, and then having to sell my car to get a place to live.
Wow.
So
Hasn't been easy, huh?
No, it has not been easy. I've lost almost all my stuff 3 to 4 times.
Wow.
And I'm slowly now gaining everything back.
Wow. Wow, it's tough. So you mentioned that your dad's wife has 2 boys, is it?
Yes, she has 2 boys.
Do you have a relationship with them at this time?
Not really.
No.
When we was all living together, they would just stay in the room, play games. That's what her mom does, or their mom just constantly just sits on the computer and play games all day. So our connection.
How old is she?
I'd say right now she's probably 35, maybe 38 years old.
35, 38 years old. Your dad's 51.
Yeah. 50.
And her sons are
I'd say
18
one's
now?
about 18, one's, I'd say, about 19 years old.
Wow.
One doesn't live there no more. The other one still does, but, he just sits on the computer all day.
Right.
He doesn't help out my dad to clean the place, and it's...
Right.
But
And she's not very helpful either.
she's not very helpful either, and I feel real bad for my dad because, he's done a lot for that family.
Do you have a relationship with the stepmom?
Not really. I mean, I tolerate it when we go, when I go down there for like Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner. I sit and tolerate her. I physically do not like her with my dad, but it's my dad's life.
Is she aware of this, that you don't like?
She probably is aware that I can't really tolerate her.
Talk to me about your mom. How's your relationship with your mom?
Me and my mom, I mean, I haven't talked to her for about a solid year and a half.
Mhm.
She don't really, I don't know, I guess she likes my brother more, where he's honestly stood down there. He's got his education going, you know, he just had his kid about 3, 4 years ago.
Does she have animosity to you because you live down here instead of living with her?
I don't know. I've asked to come back and live with her, and she's just tells me I don't have room for you, or so and so landlord won't let me, you know. I
So
don't
at this
know.
point, there's not much of a relationship with your
There's
mom.
not really much relationship with me and my mom. You know, my brother, he talks to me every once in a blue moon.
Hmm.
My dad is the only person that honestly keeps in contact.
You and your brother have the same mother and the same father?
Same mother and same father,
Uh-huh.
yes.
How far did you go in school?
I graduated high
Oh, you
school.
did? Good.
Yes, and the thing I was telling you earlier about foster home. When I graduated, I stayed with them for a little longer, and uh, uh, my foster parent ended up kicking me out due to him leaving a bunch of chickens in the dresser with just one light bulb and they dying, and he'll blame it on me that I wouldn't take care of them. But the type of person I am is, if you leave me to watch your animals,
How old were you when you were kicked out?
I think I was about 19, almost 21 or 20 years old.
So he let you, the foster parent let you stay past 18.
Yes.
And was that like a personal agreement between the two of you, or
No, I'm not the one who set it up.
did you have a relationship with him? Which was he good to
No,
you?
I didn't really know him. One of the teachers that I talked to really about the household situation that was in with when I was living with my father. She is the one that uh, got us connected with each other for him to be my foster parent while I was still in school.
Was he a good person?
Um, he was a good person, you know. He was a more older person, you know, but he adopted kids. Like, he went all the way to or Northern Carolina to pick up a kid to adopt them.
Any issues with him?
There was no issues with him. Um, he just had a bad time with animals. He likes to raise them and breed them, but he doesn't have the energy to take care of them fully as how they would be needed. He would get more than he would plan to get, and it would kind of, I don't know how to describe
Spin
it.
out of control for him.
Yes, exactly. That would be a good term.
Were there any abuse issues with him, or was
No,
it was all good?
there was no abuse issues with him. I had my own room, you know. He gave me my own space. Um, you know, I helped him do stuff outside, like construction, like build a house pen for the ducks or chickens.
Any drugs or alcohol in that
No,
house?
no drugs or
Great,
alcohol.
great. So you've been spared of that. And
So
that's,
I
I think
was,
that's great. Yeah.
yes, I was spared of that.
Awesome, awesome. So I think that's great that you've managed to escape that, and I hope that you're able to continue to, because, you know, I know just from the amount of time that I spend here, you know, that it's pretty evident that it's a major problem here. So, you know, to be a part of that generation that you're in, that's really, 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 you know, suffering from the problem, and to be able to come away from that generation without a problem, come on, hats off to you, really.
So if I just learn not to give up on myself,
Right.
and as long as I keep trying, then I know officially one day I know that I can look at myself, have my own place, being able to provide for myself a lot
sir.
better than I am right now.
Well,
And
it'll come to you though. It'll come to
will-
you
I-
as long as you show perseverance and you stick to your guns and do the very best you can. Eventually, somebody will recognize it and somebody will pull you aside and give you the leg up that you need. It's usually how it works. You know, the hard workers usually stand out. You know, and the people who don't work hard, they stand out too, but for the wrong reasons.
Exactly. And
Right.
when I just sit around, I bite my nails, which is anxiety, and I hate doing that. So that's why I try to like focus on crafts or just doing something to get my mind off of other things. 'Cause I've been through a lot, and a lot of stuff has affected my head, especially being physically abused. That has put a really bad number on my mind because, you know, when someone's yelling at me, I feel like they're gonna hurt me like my dad hurt me.
Right.
And I'm not into violence. I hate violence.
Right.
I'm more of a lover
Yes, sir.
than anything. But
Now, are you currently in a relationship with anyone?
no, I'm not in a relationship with anyone. My last relationship I had with someone was probably about 4 or 5 months ago. I enjoyed the time we spent together, but she constantly thought I was cheating on her, talking to someone else. And you know, she had full access to my phone. We worked together. She worked 2 jobs.
You were innocent.
I was innocent. You know, I tried to do everything that I can perfectly do for this type of person. I don't believe in cheating, especially if you're, you know, trying to get to know someone and
Absolutely.
you know, you want to build a relationship together. You know, I don't see a point in cheating on them.
Right.
I mean, if you don't really want to be with someone, just be like, hey, you know, I don't have that same connection with you anymore. I just feel like maybe we should split and maybe, you know, go on with our lives. I think that's a better way of doing it than going behind someone else's back, because that can really hurt someone. You know, that can physically think people's always going to cheat on them. You know, I've been really good to this girl. Never did nothing wrong to her. Never, you know, hit her. I don't hit girls. I'm all respectful. I did whatever I could for her, you know.
Yes, sir.
But after her, honestly, I just came to the conclusion that honestly, if you don't search for it or if you don't rush into it, you know, good things might come around.
It'll find you, right?
Exactly.
So there's no children. You do or you do not have children?
I believe I do have one kid.
Oh. Uh-oh.
It was with this girl, you know, that I met online. When I was working at the Hilton, I was a chef, and I was working with this dude, which is her first baby daddy.
Right.
So I didn't know that until a little bit after me and her was dating, that was her baby daddy. So me and him know each other real well. Him and his brother was warning me about her that she would eventually like go a little psycho and say you're doing stuff and put EPOs on you. And you know, I didn't think about it. I didn't think that she would do that to me, because you know, every girl that I get with, I try to treat them the best that I can, because
Right.
if you do that, that girl will know that you're not going to go out, you're not going to cheat on them, you're not going to go out and you're not going to just use them for stuff that they have,
Right.
or you know what I mean?
Right on.
How some people do people. I can't do that. I think everybody should be treated equally with respect. You know, you should be treated how
Absolutely.
you want to be. Treat
Absolutely.
people how you want to be treated.
Right. That's right. So, is this the relationship that you recently came out of? The one?
No.
This was a previous relationship.
Previous relationship after the girl that I got.
How long were you with this one? The one who
I was with her for about 5 to 6 months.
Okay. Now, where's the child now?
She's, I guess, with her. She's about 3 months old, 2 to 3 months old.
Is she local, this girl?
Yes, but she lives in a holler.
Okay. So a little bit outside of town.
A little bit outside of town, yes.
Right. Do you have any contact with her?
No, she ended up getting an EPO on me.
I don't know what that is. What's an
It's
EPO?
EPO, which means it's an restraining order. I can't go near her. I can't contact
Was
her.
there something that brought that on?
Yes, and I got set up. Honestly, this is how I feel. So me and her was together, you know, she gave me a spare car key. You know, in case she was working, you know, I'd go out, take her car, I'd clean it for her. I'd go out, detail it, make sure it looks good.
Right.
You know, I'll do that stuff for her while she's busy at work, and if I don't have to work, I do that stuff for her. Now, when she had two friends that worked at Walmart. Um, when we broke up, or she wouldn't talk to me, I told, because they take me back and forth to work sometimes when she's not. I had her car key, and when she broke up or she didn't talk to me, she wouldn't reply back to me. I told them like I gotta give her the car key because I don't want to. I'm not a thief. I'm not gonna go out.
Right, and I don't want to be responsible for.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
If we're not
sure.
together no more, I don't want to be responsible for it. So they ended up telling her that I was gonna go out and steal her car. So she had police come to my work for that car key when I didn't have it. It was at the house, So she ended up getting an EPO on me because she thought I was hitting on her. She lied on it. She said I threw her keys at her. I was getting violent with her and stuff like that. And I don't know. It's just, she's the type of person, she did the same thing she did to her first baby daddy.
Were you getting violent with her, or was that all made up?
No, it's just makeup. It's just she did the same thing to her first baby daddy the way she done me.
So once that restraining order is over and once it's expires, do you plan on pursuing that child to be a father to that child, or do you need more proof? I mean,
I have.
do you not feel prepared for fatherhood?
I don't. Well, I would pursue into it. It just, she didn't want anyone. She didn't want me to know that she was having my kid. Someone at her job told me that she was saying it was my kid. We haven't got DNA tested. I don't physically know if it's my child, but I know throughout the.
Are you interested in knowing?
I mean,
Or
eventually.
is it something you'd rather just leave alone?
I've thought real hard about it. Sometimes I think just live and learn with it,
So let me ask you this. Do you believe it's your child? In your heart of hearts, it's a yes or no question, I suppose. Yes, I do believe.
I do believe that it is possibly mine. I thought about, trying to see if it's my kid, but she doesn't really want me to know she's having my kid, and that's a lot of stuff to deal with, especially with a woman that lies on you to get an EPO on you to try to.
If I could offer you any advice, and again, it's just advice, and you're free to take it if you like, and you're free to not take it if you like. But for me, being a father, and I'm still a father, was absolutely one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. So I would say, if I were to give you the best advice that I could, is, let things sort of blow over and cool down some. But if you believe that that's your child, make the effort. It'll be so worth it in the long run. It'll be so worth it in the long run. And it's tough being a young dad. It's tough being a dad with a limited amount of money. And, it's tough being a dad who I think earlier you told me you work 6 days a week.
Yeah, I only get one
It's
day
tough.
off.
It's tough. But when you're my age, you'll be able to look at your child and you'll say, boy, oh boy, I sure am glad that I involved myself in this person's life. But again, Zach,
like I
you
said,
do what you think is right.
I can't contact her. I can't do nothing for
Sure,
2 years.
let it blow over. How long? How long is it?
The EPO lasted for 3 years.
3 years. Got
So I got about another 2 years, but
it. Right on.
honestly, I thought about it real hard. I don't want no communication with her.
Well, at this point, it's hugely important to avoid trouble, because it's certainly, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you wind up behind bars.
Yeah, exactly.
Understood. Are drugs a part of her life? Alcohol?
Now,
part of her life?
that I have no idea.
That behavior sounds pretty consistent with somebody who's maybe got some other things going on.
I didn't see her do anything, you know, but behind closed doors,
Who knows?
you don't know what's happening.
Right. 100%. So let me ask you this. Up to this point, 27 years on this earth, right? Seems like you've been through a lot of ups and downs, right? Dealt with a lot of crazy things. If you had one lesson that you can say that you took away from these last 27 years, something you learned, what would be the most valuable lesson that you've learned through all the trouble, through all the problems, through the 27 years?
So I have this uncle, and he told me, he said, don't ever let your demons out. Because once you let your demons out, basically and metaphorically words is don't give up on yourself. Because if you give up on yourself, you don't know where you're going to end up at. You can be doing drugs, you could be doing, you can end up in a ditch somewhere, And that's one thing that I've kept inside of my head. To always look for the present instead of the past.
Okay, so Zach, we're getting ready to finish up here. Is there anything that you would like to say, anything that you would like to add, anything that you would like to point out before we wrap this interview up? Or you feel pretty good about it?
I feel pretty good about it, but if whoever watches this video, if you're going through a lot of stuff and
Yes,
a lot
sir.
of pain in your life right now, the best thing to do is think about it. What happened in the past is stuff that you will look back and realize, being like, hey, this is what I did before.
Right.
And if this comes to a time where it rehappens, you can think about it and you can have that positive thing and being like, no, I don't want to do this. Because I know last time when I did this, I knew the route that I went down. And if I really want to go down this
Learn
road,
from your mistakes.
exactly, learn from your mistakes. Always have that in your head because you don't want to make the same mistake that you did before to affect you. Because that same mistake could affect your family. It can affect basically anything. Your place to live, your place of work, anything. You could lose yourself and not be able to find it again.
Right on. Right on. Right on. I think that's great advice. So what we're gonna do is at the bottom of the screen, we're gonna throw your Instagram handle up there. So if anybody wants to follow Zach on Instagram, or if for whatever reason they'd like to communicate with Zach on Instagram, we're going to put his Instagram handle at the bottom of the screen, and hopefully Zach will accept your friend request, right? Is that how it works? A friend request? I don't even know.
I think they just follow or something
okay.
that.
You follow him back or no?
You can follow him back, yeah.
What about you? Yeah. So there you go, folks. He'll follow you back. Okay. So I think that about does it, man. It was great talking to you. And what we'll do, Zach, is hopefully, Lord willing, if everything works out, I'll swing back through in a few months, check on you, see where you're at, see if anything's changed, see what you're doing. I think a lot of people are going to be interested in your story. I think that a lot of people are gonna like you because you come off as genuinely a nice guy who sort of had a few speed bumps throughout the course of their life that that you had to get over, right? But I believe with an attitude like yours, better days are ahead for you. I believe that because a lot of people out there your age do not have that positive attitude that you have. So I wish you the best of luck. It was good talking to you, and check back with you in a few months. Thanks, Zach.
You're welcome.